Let's now bring in Jeremy Bash. He's a former CIA chief of staff. Jeremy, let's pick up where we just left off, because we heard Defense Secretary Hegseth say that Iran started this war. Can you talk about what exactly this war will accomplish in terms of American security, given the upheaval that we're now seeing around the region? What do we have to gain here?
Yeah, well, the objectives of the United States Department of War and the commander-in-chief is to degrade Iran's nuclear capability, which, if they break out and try to develop a nuclear weapon, could threaten not only the regional players, not only Israel, but ultimately Europe and the United States. In order to do that, obviously, mission one is to take out Iran's ballistic missile and one-way attack drone capabilities so that U.S. troops, U.S. bases, our diplomatic facilities, our embassies, our consulates, and our allies and partners in civilian infrastructure are not threatened by Iran's capabilities. Iran also has a lot of force structure with respect to their Navy. And if they want to lay mines in the Straits of Hormuz, that could be a critical choke point. 20% of the world's oil goes through the Straits of Hormuz. And so if Iran's Navy were able to set out and lay those mines, that would effectively close those straits, those waterways to any commercial shipping. And so that's why you heard President Trump talking today about taking out Iran's Navy. And then finally, I think the issue is will Iran ever make a deal with the West and say we don't want to have a nuclear weapon? And this is where, again, Israel and the United States working together has decided, we need regime change, but it's very uncertain. As we've been discussing, there is no specific plan on the table. It's going to be very hard to achieve regime change without some presence on the ground.
Jeremy, you worked at the CIA. Can you talk about the intense intelligence gathering and planning that had to have happened to target all of those top leaders in Iran?
Well, Kate, you really need pristine intelligence to figure out what an individual's pattern of life is, to watch them and to validate that they are, in fact, where you think they're going to be. And so this required undoubtedly technical collection on their whereabouts, penetration of their communications networks, and probably some human intelligence on the ground with sources who are providing real-time information about the whereabouts of the supreme leader. In recent weeks and months, the supreme leader has taken increased security precautions because I think he had a sense that this could unfold in this way. But U.S. and Israeli intelligence were able to track their location and figure out where this meeting was going to be happening. Normally, when the U.S. and Israel launch operations, they do so in nighttime. They did it in the daytime to go after this specific meeting.
And Jeremy, there are two major branches of the Muslim faith. Maybe Americans may not understand all that, but they dominate the political landscape in that region. Can you explain a little of that and why that might make this expand into an even wider conflict?
Well, Kate, I think it's an important point because, the Iranians are Persians and the Arab countries of the Gulf Cooperation Council, the GCC countries, and Jordan and Egypt and others are Arab countries, and there has been historically a lot of tension between the Arabs and the Persians, and there is some breakdown between the Sunni and the Shia sects of Islam. Obviously, the Iranians were part of the Shia sect, and they are aligned with Hezbollah, as referenced in your earlier setup piece. I would just say, though, that it's really less about the internecine Islamic tensions, really less about the internecine Middle East tensions, and really about the fact that a theocratic regime in Iran has had power for now almost 50 years. They've been determined to maintain a nuclear capability, and that's what the West has been so concerned about.
All right, Jeremy Bash, we appreciate your analysis. Thank you.